Welcome to RCSI, the University of Medicine and Health Science. My name is Frank Donegan. I'm the head porter of RCSI, and today I'm going to give you a tour of our campus. As I stand here in the old front hall of our campus here today, this is where our history started. RCSI has a long history in medicine and surgery. Back in 1765, Sylvester O'Halloran advocated to have a Royal College here in Ireland. The building itself was built on an old Quaker's graveyard. Today, RCSI has 3 founder members. I'm standing right beside here Mr. William Dease, who was our first professor of surgery. The second founder member of our college, we name after our president's office here today, is Abraham Collis, who was taught anatomy here in the college. We also went on to discover a very famous fracture of your wrist called the Collis fracture. It's a little fracture here on your hand. And the third founder member of our college is a man called George Rennie. And he played a really key part here in our college, and there's a long line of history about this man. He's up in our boardroom, which we'll be shortly going up to have a look as part of our tour today. So in 1784, the college receives its charter from George III. We still have the original charter here in the college, which we keep in our archive section of the college, because it's a very old document with its stamp. As I stand here on the bottom of the old staircase here in the old part of the building here, there's just some references I'd like to point out as I'm here. Just to my left on the wall here is a plaque which was unveiled by the President of Ireland back in 2010, Mary McAleese, to celebrate our occasion of 200 years on this particular site from 1784. The other piece of history that we created in 2010 was we elected our very first female president in the history of all the Royal Colleges. Her name was Professor Ailish McGovern. Today, RCSI is governed by a council. There's 21 members of our council who would sit here on the first Thursday of each month. Okay, folks, we're standing in the old college boardroom here. It's a very lovely old room, originally designed to house our college committees and our court of examiners. Today we use the room for a very extensive amount of events, so we do have many dinners, receptions. Some of the things I'd love to point out is the 3 rugs I'm standing on here today. These are called a Joyce rug, and these were done specially for RCSI back in 1984. That's the year when we celebrated our bicentenary. We had a visit from Nancy Reagan, who was First Lady of the US back then. And Nancy Reagan wanted to visit our college because her father, Lyle Davis, is an honorary fellow of our college. Just over my shoulder here to my left is a lady called Emily Winifred Dickinson. Emily Winifred Dickinson was the very first female fellow of RCSI. Over my right hand shoulder here we have Mary Josephine Hanan, who was the very first licentiate here of RCSI back in 1890. She went on, she studied here as a student and went on to graduate as a doctor. So on the 24th of April, 1916, we had the Easter Uprising. And this is the time that our building was taken over by a lady called Countess Markovich, Major Michael Mallon and 110 insurgents. And they took our building over for 1 week during Easter week here. Just behind me here, you will see an original bullet hole from 1916 when they were in the building here. And if you ever get the opportunity to be out on Stephen's Green looking up to the facade of our building, you will see many bullet holes in the front of our building during this time. As we've just left the boardroom, we head into our college hall where I'm standing here now. Originally the old examination hall. Today we still use it as an examination hall. So when you're part of a student body, we'll do examinations over on this side of the building. I'm now standing outside the Albert Lecture Theatre, named after Prince Albert. It's probably the oldest lecture theatre we have in the RCSI today. Some of the features in the room you'll see is the stained glass windows. These were installed in the Albert Theatre back in 2002 by an artist called George Walsh. They're not original stained glass, but they are a nice feature for our theatre here today. We're now standing outside the anatomy department where I'm going to take you in and we're going to meet Professor Clive Lee, who is our professor of anatomy.
The college was founded in 1784 and the anatomy department was established the following year. So the initial professors of anatomy tended to teach systematically. So they'd tell you all the arteries 1 week and all the veins the next week. And a student called Abraham Collis from Kilkenny came to the college. He didn't like this and he actually did something about it. So having graduated from the college and has done some training in London, he revolutionized the way anatomy was taught by teaching it regionally. So you do the chest or the abdomen or the thigh. And that made an awful lot more sense if you're going to operate on a patient. That has really set the basis of teaching in the department because it's always practically based. And subsequent professors of anatomy, and I'm the 29th in the series, have tried to keep this going. So it's a method of being able to explain to the students where everything is, helping them to discover it themselves. And what's unique about the college is we have a group of retired surgeons called surgeon preceptors who help show them around the body here in the anatomy room. This is the one place that you get this sort of level of surgical experience being brought to bear on an undergraduate medical school.
So this is the original medical school that they built back in the early 70s. Back in 1980, then we put a link building on which links us between where we are standing here today and the old part of the college which we just exited there shortly just before we came across here. You will find as you walk around our campus that we do name an awful lot of our teaching rooms, lecture theatres after a lot of famous people here in RCSI. And I'll refer to our 3 lecture theatres that we have on the ground floor here. We have the biggest one, which is a 420-seater lecture theatre, which we call the Flannigan Lecture Theatre. And this was named after a very famous person here in RCSI, Harry Flannigan, who was registrar back in the 1960s. We also have the John Chain, and we have the John Euston Lecture Theatres as well. Again, these 2 smaller ones have a capacity of just over 200. We also, on this side of the building here, have our main campus restaurant. This is which we refer to as 1784. And this again, the name, the 1784 was given to it because it's the year we received our charter. It's a 250-seater restaurant where students today have a variety of choices. So we have pizza bar, we have hot food, we have grilled food, we have street food. So many choices that you can have down here. We also have a music room, we also have a pool room, and then we have a small little cinema screen with all the sports channels here as well. I'm going to take you across the road here to a new academic building here, number 26 York Street, which is straight across the road. Well folks, welcome to number 26 York Street, RCSI's new academic building. So before further ado, if you just want to follow me now, we'll head over and I'll start taking you around our campus building. Thank you. We're now down on the -4th floor of our building here, and this is where we start our sports complex. The floor I'm standing on is a fully heated floor. Even a new thing to our court is our new cricket nets. We're up at the top of the hall here, where we can actually play cricket as well. Okay folks, we've arrived on -3 floor, and this is where we have our gyms. The mixed gym here, this is where we have every piece of equipment you can imagine of. We have a gym manager now, and we have 5 permanent gym operators who operate the gym, who are all skilled in their own field. So if students are interested today in having a one-on-one tuition, they want to start up with these weight loss programs, wherever they feel, we're here to serve here in the college today. Just down here to my left-hand side, we have our new female gym. We also have our new top-of-the-range fitness suites, where we run spinning classes, we do yoga, we do kettlebells, we do Pilates, all in these areas here. We now arrived on the -1 floor, and as you see behind me here is our brand new 540-seater Desmond Auditorium. It's a beautiful state-of-the-art theatre, has a complete teaching wall, it's fully air conditioned. Just to my left here, as I turn around, is something that the college decided to do back in 2017. This is when we opened this brand new building that we're in here today. The graduating class of 2017, with some of the academics and the senior management team and council, were asked to participate in this program which we call our Bullet Wall. The time capsules, there's 400 of these capsules on the wall, but the whole idea was that we got each of the class to write a little note to try and explain or tell us where they'll be in 40 years' time. But the whole idea, when they come back to that class reunion in 40 years' time, they'll open up the bullet and read each other's message. Okay folks, now we've moved up to level 1 of the building here, and I'm standing in here in our library. So on this floor here behind me, it's the only floor in the library actually has some books. But it's mainly what we call this area here is a quick access area. So you can see on this floor here with the whole purpose of students can just come in here, they can drop off a book, they can take a book out. We do have library staff on call here out here too, if there's any queries that you want that you have here. And just down behind me here, down on this side here, we have what we call amphitheatres. Many students today will have to do presentations. So these are rooms, soundproof rooms that you can go in, do your presentation. You can bring some students in to listen to your presentation. Okay folks, now we've moved up to level 2 of our building here. And to my left-hand side, you'll see what we call the complete silence zone. And this is an area where students could go in, there's complete silence. There's no sound whatsoever. Okay guys, that sort of finishes my part of the tour here at the college. I'm now going to hand you over to Michelle, who's the manager of our simulation team, who's going to show around our beautiful simulation department.
I'm delighted to welcome you all here to the RCSI Centre for Simulation, Education and Research, also home to the National Surgical and Clinical Skills Centre. The top 3 floors of 26 York Street has a state-of-the-art surgical and clinical training suite. Managed by the Department of Simulation, you'll find a flexible wet lab, mock operating theatre, both inpatient and outpatient rooms, our task training room, a patient lounge, and lots more. This is our state-of-the-art flexible wet lab facility. Here, students and trainees have the opportunity to learn in a safe learning environment with both biological and synthetic simulators. Our laparoscopic trainers provide the opportunity for you to develop the dexterity and hand-eye coordination required for safe surgical practice. These real operating theatre lights provide an enhanced experience where it feels as though you're in the hospital setting. And our 4K cameras provide the opportunity to see the finer detail that your clinical faculty demonstrate to you. You'll have the opportunity to use these facilities and train in here as part of exciting events such as iChams, Surgical Society Days and Trauma Days. You can even come here and practice your surgical skills for competitions across Ireland and internationally. This is a really important space known as our task training room. This is where you can have the opportunity to come and learn and practice clinical skills on mannequins before you meet real patients for the first time. It's a safe environment, which means you can learn, you can make mistakes, and you can work together to learn what to do before you go out and meet patients in clinical practice. Here we support the setup and operation of over 100 different types of clinical skills so that you can practice in this safe learning environment. Here we are in our mock operating room, our mock OR, which can also play a role as an emergency department or ICU setting. Here you will have the opportunity to come in and put your clinical training to work, but not just to practice your clinical skills, also to focus more on human factors elements, things such as teamwork, communication skills, conflict management, or potentially even breaking bad news to a patient. This here is SimMan. SimMan can react just as a real-life patient would in real-life situations. His eyes react to light, he breathes, he bleeds. You can check his blood pressure, keep an eye on the monitor here and see how he's doing. You can even speak to the patient and he will speak back to you, so that you can build a true picture of the clinical situation and what has happened to the patient to bring him in here to you today. On this floor, we have 8 inpatient rooms where you can have the opportunity to do clinical ward rounds and to meet with patients in an inpatient setting. Here we have some of our most advanced simulators, Lucina, SuperTori and SimMan. This is SuperTori. Our SuperTori twins are tetherless neonatal mannequins and our most advanced simulators. These babies provide the opportunity for you to learn about both common and rare clinical pediatric scenarios. SuperTori can show signs of sepsis, cardiac arrest, pneumonia, pneumothorax, and other clinical symptoms that you might come across when you begin to do your rotations in pediatrics. You will have the opportunity to come in here and do a normal hands-on delivery with Lucina before you go out into the wards on your obs and gynae rotations for the first time. The feedback from nurses and midwives in the hospital setting has been excellent. About our students, they say that they come out much more confident, eager, willing to be involved because they have experienced a birth that they have managed themselves in this safe learning environment. Lucina also demonstrates real patient signs and symptoms. You can also use real monitoring systems on her to get live feedback, and every intervention that you do will be tracked here on Lucina's system. Here we have 10 outpatient rooms. In these outpatient clinical settings, you have the opportunity to practice physical exam and learn skills such as conflict management, breaking bad news, history taking from a patient, and building a rapport that is so important through the communication skills that you will learn and develop here. All of these spaces combine as the largest clinical simulation suite in Europe. It represents a huge leap forward for RCSI, Ireland and beyond, putting RCSI at the forefront of healthcare education. Thank you all so much for joining us today for our tour. We're delighted to have been able to welcome you here to our wonderful facilities. And now I'll hand you back over to the wonderful Frank.
Thanks, Michelle. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed our tour today of our campus, and I hope to see you all back here in September. Thank you.